What we have here is a boomer operating technology. Yeah, okay, so I'm just pressing on the bearings. I didn't go through the whole motion on this one, but I will on Tommy's. This is the silicone engine. What a mess. That thing was a mess. I almost was at the point where I didn't think I could save the case. But I think we're good now. I got the new bearing races in there. Timken tapered. It's the only way to go. They make a conversion for the twin cams. You get that roller out of the sprocket shaft side and put a Timken tapered. Now I'm lazy. I buy the match bearing sets. So they're already matched, and the spacer that goes in between the two bearings gives me 1 thou end lash. That's what it gives me. Now you can do it yourself. You just go down to your local bearing shop, to which I have none, and get the races and the bearings. Just match up the numbers. But you don't want more than 1 thou, and you need a dummy bearing to do your test. So what I do, I have dummy bearings up. You just make them out of an old bearing. I have dummy bearings up, and then that Graham dial-a-cam thing I was using. Okay, I use the dial indicator off of that, and I put it on here, and then you just very carefully go up and down and see how much end play you got. This here, well, this is snot. I'm using Lucas. I used to love the Row slicker and snot. I used to get that stuff all the time, but this is it's what you call engine builder's pre-lube. Like my brother Earl always says, just add a little more lube. Yeah, I see young guys, you know, they rub grease on the outside of a bearing and think it's packed. Even if you're packing a bearing with grease, you got to pack it all the way in so it gets all the way in. Nice thing about the slicker and snot, or the snot, engine snot, is it'll ooze its way down and fill the whole bearing. And yes, it's fine mixing with your oil. I mean, whenever you got a rebuild like this, anyways, you want to go. You want to do an oil change, get her hot, run around a little bit, and do a quick oil change. Anyways, so oh, she's already coming out the bottom. Oh yeah, she's packed. So I've got my spacer in there. Very important. You can buy the spacers in like a 5-pack. Okay? From whomever. I personally, I had a lot of buddies that used to deal with J&P. They were gold members. The gold members. That's not what their old ladies were saying, but anyways, and I don't know how it is for you guys down south, but oh, oh, hoody do, hoody do. I'm just looking at. But I find Dennis Kirk way better. Up here in Kanakistan, I find Dennis Kirk way better. Now there's a couple of tools. I mean, you can even make your own tool. This is an old Jim's from back in the day, right? You know, you put it on and then just wind her down. And this one is out of a kit from S&S. I like this one. Where is that other piece? I don't need it. I don't think. No, okay. Maybe you do. Yeah, I'll put it on. It's in my S&S kit. Ever tell you how much I love S&S? I love Jim's too. Jim's is fine by me. So Now it's always nice to have a spare lower leg hanging around your shop, just in case you gotta do something. Quick uppercut to the solar flex, or nothing else, pressing on your Timken bearing. Just make sure your rods are set, and down she comes. I'm just gonna change my position on this. Just make sure I'm squished straight in against my spacer. Yeah, it's called giving the leg up. Or in this case, there we go. Leg down. You don't want to get too wild, but then spend all this time throwing in old flywheels. And the last thing you want to do is knock them out of true. God forbid. Hey, these ones treated in not too bad, but I've had the odd set. Yeah, so don't like throwing in. And I've seen other guys go through and go, what the heck? What the heck is coming on here? My old Polish buddy used to say. And they can't even say my name. It's 2 letters, it's Al. No. Ale! Ale! Hey, ale! No, I haven't had any ale this morning. There we go. Okay, get that up there. Yeah. There we go. Nice. As my brother Chris, he just died here a little bit. He was like, nice. Okay, so the other thing is we are ready to assemble these cases. Almost ready. I got to put the cam bearing in. So basically, and I'm going to throw in a little 680 slip retainer on that cam bearing because there was a little damage there. And God forbid, somebody went. Some rocket scientist, or was he a washing machine scientist? I'm just not sure. But then somebody had JB weld in there. Dude, the nice thing about the Harley, we can weld and machine anything. We can always get shit welded. We can always get shit line board. We can always get shit machined. Or, for the most part. Almost always. So, I had my favorite, when I lived in Cowtown, I had my favorite welder, Greg, he specialized in Czechoslovakian bikes, and I think I'm pretty sure he was Spanish. And then over there, he was just a master TIG welder. He was old school gas. He had a barrel of sand. He'd heat it up slowly. He'd spend all this time heating it up. Do all his artwork welding. And then he'd bury it back in the sand to cool down over an 8-hour period. I had nothing ever failed. I went to fancy shops, like on the old 4-speeds. We used to pull out our studs, our mounting studs on the bottom to go to the plate. It happens. Guys were over torquing shit back in the day. But so I took a case into, I'll leave the name of the shop out, but they're race car guys, and I knew the machinists there, good people. And fuck. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, no. I did no aluminum welding over there. It pulled. I couldn't even mount the thing. So I go back to Greg, and he's like, who welded this? Well, feeling all guilty I didn't go to him to begin with. And then, 35 foot-pounds torque, no problem. 100% guaranteed, that's for sure. Okay, that's my impersonation of the chuckler. It's one of Batman's nemesis. The chuckler. He's Hungarian. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was going to put in the new bearing. New bearing. Yeah, that's what sucks out here. We used to have a bearing supply joint. Then it moved, I don't know, but it ended up moving 180 miles from here. And they were good. They're called Cayman bearings. They're decent enough. But it's really nice for all you city guys, all you cityites. Just pop down to your bearing store. And you know, Canada, we don't manufacture anything anymore. This stupid trade war going on, we got nothing to trade. Just a robbery. When I was a kid, we were taught in school that the reason you have a first world nation, country, is because we took our resources and then we refined our resources and then we manufactured off our resources, which made us first world. Then they would point at Africa, where everybody just rapes the resources, takes them back to their own country, like Japan, China, whatever, refines them and manufactures them. And we got this fucking trade war going on with our cousins. God bless you guys. God bless the US of A. God bless freedom. God bless you guys. We're on a 50-year plan from Trudeau's daddy from back in the 60s and 70s, where they used to be slow at it, you know, taking our freedoms and communist, but now they're just complete progressive, like way worse than Joe, what's his face there, the guy couldn't remember his own name. Way worse, way worse. Like this is bad. This is bad, man. Yeah. And criminals like me don't get to go down the States, so even though I got heritage down there, because Canada and the States used to be a fairly happy family. Everybody talks about the 1812 war and the British. Yeah, well, you know, we might have some kind of British general or whatever, but no, there were a bunch of farmers drinking rye whiskey that went down there. But we've been buddies ever since. There we go. I'm just going to go press in this bearing. I did want this though, so it's just going to put in a little bit of retaining compound. It's a bearing sleeve retaining compound. I know my buddies will come in here. Buddies will come in here and then they'll grab my green Loctite. They don't know what they're doing, and then one of my green Loctites has a red label, and so my brother Tony, he comes in and he starts using it as his red Loctite. So here's a myth, okay? So I use red on pretty much everything except for screws. Okay, delicate and small stuff, that's blue. Everybody tries to tell me blue is permanent. Whatever, dude. Use what you wish. But I use red. Now there's like 3-4 different reds, different strengths for different applications. There's 2-3 different blues. There's a couple of different greens. I have a self-feeding green, like when I did the crank pins on that, or the crank nuts on the crank. I used a green. I didn't use the self-feeding green. There's no need to. Hey, you ever have your mirror? This is what Earl turned me on to. My mirror, you know how they vibrate after a while and they move when you're giving her and horsing around and they get older? So I take my mirror and I put the self-feeding green into the ball joint because there was no tightener on the new ones. And let it seep in. I put it in place, set it up, let it dry. Got to do it every once in a while, but because I got one worn out mirror. But it works like a hot dang. A hootenanny hot dang. Nice. Ooh, I haven't even used this one yet. Ooh, brand new. I love Loctite. We got this thing up here in Kanakistan called Permatex. I don't know what they were doing. They made a deal with Loctite for Canada. And yeah, no thanks. No thanks. I don't care for your Permatex much at all. So I pay the extra money and I hunt down. Oh, the Indians over in India? Oh, they sell me Loctite fairly cheap, the red stuff. Yeah, check it out. It's on Amazon. Get some on this sleeve. I'll even use it as my press lube. Don't want it in my bearings, but I'm not worried about it because it's not Loctite. It's a bearing sleeve retainer. So they operate on different heat degrees and different degrees of heat and different what do you call it? Spacing clearances. Well, this year I checked the press fit on this bearing when I found the damage after I pulled the old one out, and it was fine. But I had to pull all the chunks of GB weld out, and well, there was a few gouges in there, probably from, I don't know what happened. It looks like this thing, something happened, blew up, and then they put it back together and siliconed the shit out of it and blew it up again. That's what exactly it looks like happened to me. But I'll tell you, that timing cone, that old timing cone, that wasn't getting no oil. That pinion shaft was destroyed. And you see, my mother there is just learning how to use his lathe. Well, he's doing a good job, but he's kind of an apprentice. So I gave him that flywheel, and I told him I wanted him to spin it and make it good again. Spin the end that goes into the cone cover and make it good again. But he was having some issues with something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, and I wanted him to polish the surface on it too as well. All right. You know, if I was to give any young guys, young fellers that love your shovel heads and love your Evos and even the Twinkies, if one of you guys ever asked me, if I wanted to own some tools that were good for my bike, what tools would I buy? Well, definitely not that big rack there, because you don't need it all. I mean, getting into bottom ends, you want to deal with people that do it, or you want to have somebody do it for you, with you, if you want to learn. That is the best way. But but then you got to suck up to one of us old boomers. And you young folks, you're a pretty proud bunch. I don't know, but I'll tell you. The tips and tricks I learned, for the most part, came from the old fellers that liked me, and mostly just because because it wasn't say they used to get suck ups in their garages on a Friday night. The old guys would host us young guys, and they got no time for that shit. They like somebody that's serious and doesn't fart out an excuse every time they open their mouth. Oh, blah blah blah, I could blah blah blah. It's like I said before, how many times do I hear a guy go, guys come into my shop back when I had my shop, they go say stuff like, oh yeah, if I had the tools I could do that. And I'm like, you gotta have more than tools, man. You have to have a little bit of skill to operate the tool. That's why you ever see a young guy on job site having a hard time. He starts throwing the tools across the shop because and calling the tool a piece of shit. Yeah, no time for that stuff. No, I always told my son when he was getting his trade, he was working in a fabricating shop, doing welding. I said, never do that. I told him that. There, this came out nice. Sweet. Or as old Chris would say, nice. Yeah, I like that. now that I got that in. So yeah, so getting back to the tools. If I had any advice for you young fellers for buying tools, and I'll show you one of the tools that, because we're doing the heads next. I'm going to install this. First I'm going to slick it in snot. Then I'm going to install this, and we're going to put the pistons on, run the pistons in. And then once that's done, we'll go over to the heads. Now, when I was doing the leak down, oh no, this one the heads, yeah, no. This one the heads needed, for sure. I was thinking of Tommy's there for a minute. Because when I was doing Tommy's leak down, there was I heard nothing coming out of the heads. So it was like 10%, 9% on one, 10% on the other. And that brings you to the point where, look, you get a 10% leak down, that's it, dude. Just start making plans on. Get it in your heart that the bike is not going to be perfect. Like say, and it usually happens at idle, okay? Because you're losing your squish. And so it goes and dies, and dies, right? So, where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, when you're around 10%, that's when okay, it's time for me to check it out. And you can buy inexpensive, like, you guys didn't see mine, it's in this orange red case over here, Snap-on one. But you can get just simple, small leak down testers. And so that's the number one tool I would tell all young guys to get. Because we're cooled engines and we got real crap fuel, whether you're down south or whether you're up north, we got garbage fuel. It's a commie plot. It is. It is. They just want to destroy us. Destroy everything they touch, those guys. Lying politicians. Sorry. Get back on track here. So, yeah. Yeah, we run hotter. We got crappy fuel, and so we ended up with pitted valves more than anything. Now you're pretty much good for 2 top ends for your bottom end, for sure. On the Evos, yeah, even on the shoves, man. You know, these roller bearing, or these needle bearing cranks, they take a lot of abuse. They can handle quite a bit. It takes a lot to blow up a set of rods. It really does. But that doesn't say people haven't done it. Like that 96 I built for Brother Tony. I bought that engine blowing up. This Newfie, he had a 5-inch stroke shovel head with the 8 1/4 flywheels, which are a 1/4 inch smaller than stock, and then your standard S&S and that kind of stuff. And he didn't get any miles on it, and he blew it up. And he blew the bottom end up real good. Now this is one of those guys, and I'm not insulting him or nothing, but it's one of those guys that know everything. Absolutely everything there is to know about everything. So he sold me the motor cheap. Now I was building a 88 for a friend, so I needed the big bore off it. And there was a couple other things. I ended up with the cases. So I took Tony's crank, his Evolution crank, 4 5/8, out of his Spooth, and there's Evolution, and I stuck that. I rebalanced it. I filled all the holes with lead and everything else. And if you ever do that, if I ever do another one, I'll make sure I film it. So, because you don't just fill it with lead. You don't just, okay, because that shit shrinks. So you got to let it cool, and then you got to heat it up and let it cool and heat it up. So it settles down. You know, in the drill holes I showed you that you make in the flywheels. I didn't have to fill these ones. A lot of times you don't, But he went from that crank. See, spoof top ends are super light. Like Corello pistons, very light, even though they're huge pistons. I just happen to have a smooth kit right here. I wonder if I got the pistons for it. I was looking up, I talked to Alan's daughter. It's Alan Spooth, God rest his soul. Oh, one of my favorite guys in the world. And, yeah. Now you see these? Oops. Over here? Yeah, these, like, not much skirt on those, eh? But, so anyways, I was talking to her, and because of California emission laws, they're not making the cylinders anymore. At least that's what she told me. And I'm like, wow. She said, well, we can get the pistons. Now these are the biggest pistons that Spooth makes. These might be the biggest pistons that Spooth ever made. And they fit this set of jugs right here, actually. So there we go. So I was on eBay or whatever. This guy had a rusty, like it'd been sitting out. They had the pistons and he had the barrels and the rings. You know, totally cruddy, dirty, and ugly, and rust around the sleeves, I think. I can't remember, but they were ugly. They weren't nice. Like somebody tossed them to the wayside and the side of the garage that leaked or something. You want $1,000 for them things. That's a lot of money. I would rather see her make a deal with some company to make them overseas and bring them over. But I said to her, I says, okay, so the population in California is the same as Canada, right? Yeah. Now how many people in the States? She says, with 350 million. How many people in California? Around 50 million. Or 40 or whatever it is, right? I said, well, what about the rest of us? Don't we make up, like the 50 million up here in Kanakistan? Don't we at least make up for California? And then you got all the other states. And she laughed at me, of course, because I'm an idiot. But not when it came to Spooth, man. No, love this stuff. Yeah, no, God bless that man. I don't know how I got over there, but I did. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, so I got this bearing in. I'm just going to let that stuff set. It takes, they say it like takes 10 minutes, but it's spring up in I was going to say Afghanistan, but Kanakistan here. It's a little chill. Doors open. So I am just going to call this one that. And so when I slide my case on that we just fitted to the pinion bearings, when I slide it on, I'm doing my two bottom and my top center first. And I will bring those to torque. Then I'll put everybody else, I'll do a torque sequence and a complete torque sequence after that. I'll bring them to almost torque, you know, it's around 15 foot-pounds, it's not a lot. Oh, and I ain't using silicone. I got some 515 here, I don't mind. So, now this is a Permatex thing I do buy, just because I can't get the original aircraft gasket maker up here anymore. I think I have a can of it, but it's pretty dry. Where is it? Where is it? Should have been here. No, it's got to be here. Hang on. Is it up here? Oh, it can be over there. Why would it be there when it should be here? Oh yeah, I have these conversations with myself all day long. Well, I'm up here in the middle of nowhere. I got nobody to talk to. I don't want to talk to anybody anyways. I want to talk to you guys, but oh, here we go. So I think what it is Permatex got the license to copy, or their patent ran out of Loctite or something or whatever. But the aviation former gasket, I use that. I've been using it for years. And then the Loctite 515. My other bottle's it's old, straight out. But we're going to use the 515 on these case halves. Can I phone Harley or one of the expensive distributors and ask for the super secret Harley shit? Yep, I sure can. But I got one Harley shop, 180 miles from here. No, I don't. They closed. No, I got one Harley shop about 200 and between 200 and 250 miles from here that way. And there used to be one that way. And then, oh geez, I could just order it and have it trucked to me, but no, there's something going on with fuel and expenses. And delivery is, ever since COVID, man, our delivery sucks. It's done. It's like hope so, guess so, maybe so. Used to be right on the money. I used to get shit from Drag Specialties to my shop here 2 days. Ground, 2 days, boom, boom, boom. But those days ain't here no more for Al. So, and I'm a retired old fart anyways. What does anybody care? Okay. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. But like on the other one, on Tommy's, we'll put the gauge in. We'll have it here. I'll take it to a small screwdriver. I'll do this and we'll see if we're getting our thou and play. I know we are. I can feel it. And there won't be more than a thou in that. That's about it for that one, I guess. I guess I will get this over on that stand and start gooping and assembling. Oh yeah, I was going to let that cure for a bit. You know what? It's been a long day. It's weird. I couldn't find my Mitsutobes. Now I know I'm not fancy. And I know I'm a hillbilly. And I know I'm a boomer. The thing is, I don't like any of my tools leaving my shop. Because I can't just go down the store. I don't have Snap-on coming to my door anymore. That's even another story. I hear there's a new guy in town, but I have to go find him and introduce myself. No bearing shops. No phone, no smokes. But I got a cigarette. Just a single luxury. Anyways, right on guys.